Hello everyone, we are on the back of the test review for Unit 2, Part 1. The back of the test review is primarily on slope, rate of change, and we have a few other things that we want to remember for the test tomorrow, September 29th. Please make sure, guys, that you are looking at every question, that you know how to do these. Everything that's on this review, there is something like it on the test. So make sure that you can do it independently also. So that means pausing the video, trying the problems, and then checking the video to see if you got them correct. So take a moment to pause the video and try number 5. Hopefully you paused it and now you are returning to the video to see how to do question number 5. Now the first thing in any kind of word problem is to read it, of course, but also to check to see the very last couple sentences because that tells you what you're looking for. In this case, we're looking for rate of change. And remember, another word for rate of change is slope. So we are finding the slope from this table. So first, let's see. We've got a decrease here in the gallons of water in a pool. So it decreased 4,000. Sorry about that. It decreased 4,000 gallons over 2 hours. From hour 1 to hour 3, over 2 hours, it decreased 4,000. So for us to find out what it would be, our slope, it's always the change in the y's divided by the change in the x's. Okay, so y's are always on top. So for us, our slope is negative 4,000 divided by 2, which is negative 2,000. So that's the answer, but I did ask you to write it as a complete sentence. So take a moment to try and write out what you think that problem means in a complete sentence, and then unpause the video and check your answer. Sorry, my handwriting's not the best, but double check to see that you got this correct. What does that negative 2,000 mean? It means that the pool is draining, which we already know. It drained at a rate of, like how fast did it drain? It drained 2,000 gallons per hour. Okay, so check that out, see that you got that correct. You don't need to write the negative in a sentence. We already wrote the word drained. That means negative. So you don't need to write negative when you're writing the sentence. Now go ahead and pause the video and try question number 6. You're also finding the rate of change, otherwise known as slope. Pause the video. Okay, hopefully you're checking your work. You can use any 2 points on the graph, guys. I used the point that was already given at 30, and I used this point also. And so my rise from 30 to 60, that's an increase of 30. And from here to here, it's not going by ones, guys. It's not 1, 2, 3. It's going by twos. So it's 2, 4, 6. It actually went to the right 6 units. So when I divide those two numbers, remember it's rise over run. Rise is the vertical change. So the 30 goes on top, and the run, the horizontal change, goes on the bottom. And when we divide them, we get 5. So our slope is 5. But when we write it as a complete sentence, the rate of change is that it cost $5 per banner. Okay, we always use the cost, which is on the y-axis, per whatever is on the x-axis, which in this case is the number of banners. So go ahead and pause the video and try number 7. When you unpause it, you will see the answer. So pause it first, try it, and then unpause to check your answer. Okay, guys, this one is not a real-world problem, but it is still asking you to find the rate of change or the slope. Now remember, you're trying to find the difference in 2 points. I could have used the first 2 points or the second 2 points, which is what I did, or the last 2 points. So you can see from negative 72 to negative 32, that actually is getting bigger. Negative 32 is larger than negative 72. It increased by 40. And then here from negative 6.5 to negative 2.5, that's an increase of 4. So they're both increasing, they're both getting bigger, so our slope is positive. Now the biggest error students make here is writing 4 over 40 instead of 40 over 4. It is always, always, always y over x. The change in the y values was 40, divided by the change in the x values, which is 4. That's what that triangle means, by the way, guys. That means change. The change in the y's divided by the change in the x's. And I could have used any of them and gotten the same answer. So for instance, right here, this is an increase of 2. And this is an increase of 20. 20 divided by 2 is also 10. See, I get the same answer. It's 10. No matter which points I use, it should divide to get me the same slope, which in this case was 10. Okay? Hopefully we understand how to find a table. Now, if it doesn't tell you which one's x and y, on horizontal tables, the x is always on top and the y's are always on bottom. So take a moment and we're going to look at 8 real quick, 8 and 9. I'm going to give you a hint, a formula that might could help you, and then you're going to pause it and try and answer these two questions on your own. So here's the formula. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So look at that formula and see if that can help you determine the answers to 8 and 9. Pause the video, and when you unpause it, you can check your answer. So here are the answers. You can see them circled. The slope, this formula we have not used much yet. You've seen y equals mx plus b in 7th and 8th grade, but this formula is called point slope form. But no matter what, the m is still in front of the x. And remember, m stands for slope. Okay? Slope is the m value. Okay? So it's right in front of the parentheses. So in the first problem, number 8, the m was negative 5 over 6. And in number 9, you can see that there isn't a number there, just a negative symbol. So remember, that means negative 1. So our slope in number 9 was negative 1. Take a moment, pause the video, and try number 10. Okay, guys, let's go back to this that we were talking at the very beginning of this unit about, which is, can we plug in a value, an input, and get our output? So we have a function, f of x equals negative 4 parentheses x minus 8. And when it says, what is the value of f of 2.6, that means take 2.6 and plug it in wherever there is an x. So you can see I did that right here. There was an x there, but I replaced it with 2.6. And now I can plug this whole thing, only the right side of the equal sign, plug it into my calculator. So negative 4 parentheses 2.6 minus, make sure you're using the minus button, 8. And then when we hit enter, we get 21.6. So our input was 2.6, but our output was 21.6. And you would do the same process for the second question, replacing x this time though with negative 10. It tells you what your input is. Okay, and then once again, we will plug that into the calculator. If you need help doing fractions, remember, just hit Control, divide, and it will make a fraction for you. Parentheses, negative 10 plus 8, enter, and the answer is 1. Woohoo, really easy. So we inputted negative 10, but our output was 1. Now take a moment, pause the video, try question 12, and then unpause it to check your answer. All right, guys, let's check the slope first. Your slope should have been negative 2 over 3, negative 2/3. From one end to the other end, I just used the points they already gave me. And if I see that it's decreasing from left to right, I should automatically know the answer is negative. So I should go ahead and put my negative symbol down. It went down 6 units and over to the right 9 units. And when I type that in my calculator, negative 6 divided by 9, it reduces the fraction for me to negative 2 over 3, negative 2/3. Okay, now pause the video again and try the domain and the range for this graph. Okay, we can now see our domain and range. Check to see if it's correct. Our domain was from negative 6 to 3, with the negative 6 having an open circle and the 3 having a closed circle. And our range, remember, is always lowest to highest. Negative 5 should be first, not the 1. Negative 5, which has a closed dot, all the way up to positive 1 that has an open dot. Okay, last question. Try number 13 on your own. Pause the video and then unpause it to check your answers. All right, check your answer on the last question of the review. 2 of them were not functions, the graph and the mapping. The table was a function. It is totally okay to have the same y values. It's okay for 2 inputs to have the same output. What is not okay is like over here on the mapping, that -2 has 2 outputs. Remember, that's like a vending machine hitting one button, but 2 different candy bars coming out or 2 different sodas. Okay, that should not happen. Okay, that is not a function. And the graph in the middle doesn't pass the vertical line test. And the reason why is because when you draw a vertical line, not any line, a vertical line, it touches the graph more than once. That means for whatever that X value input is, it has 2 outputs. Every input should have only 1 output. You can see the definition at the bottom of the page. Remember, we are having a study session after school today, Thursday the 28th, until 5:15 in room 8315. And then I will have tutoring in the morning also at 8 o'clock. Your test is tomorrow, Friday the 29th. Please study. If you need to watch the video more than once, do it. Have a great night, guys, and let me know if you need anything.